When Emma's mother is dying of cancer and she's drowning in debt, a mysterious billionaire appears with an impossible offer. Marry him for 1 year, and he'll pay for everything. But Sebastian Ashworth isn't just any rich man, he's hiding secrets that could destroy them both. Welcome back, dear friends and story lovers. Tonight, we bring you a tale where love is tested, secrets come to light, and fate takes an unexpected turn. Every moment will pull you in deeper, and every choice could change everything. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments. And if this story touches your heart, like, subscribe, share it with someone who believes in true love, and hit the bell so you never miss the next chapter. Let's dig in. The fluorescent lights of Memorial Hospital cast harsh shadows across Emma Rodriguez's gaunt face as she pressed her forehead against the cold window. Rain hammered the glass like bullets, each drop a reminder that time was running. Out behind her, the steady beep of machines kept her mother alive. Morphine dulling the pain but doing nothing to stop the cancer devouring Maria Rodriguez from within. Emma's phone buzzed again. Another overdue notice. Her event planning business had crumbled when the world shut down, taking her savings and her future with it. Now, she sat in a plastic chair that smelled of disinfectant and despair, watching her mother fade while drowning in debt. $2 million. That's what the experimental treatment would cost. It might as well have been $2 billion, Miss Rodriguez. The voice cut through her exhaustion like a blade. Emma turned to find a man in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her car. Everything about him screamed wealth and danger, from his steel blue eyes to the gold watch catching the harsh hospital light. He was tall, perfectly groomed, and studying her with the intensity of a predator sizing up prey. "Do I know you?" Emma stood, suddenly aware of her worn jeans and faded sweater. "Sebastian Ashworth?" He handed her a business card with movements. "Too precise to be casual. I believe we need to talk." Emma's breath caught. She knew that name. Everyone did. The tech billionaire who'd revolutionized social media before turning 30. Worth more than some countries. "How do you know about my mother?" Sebastian's smile was sharp as broken glass. "I make it my business to know things, especially when I'm looking for someone with your particular qualities." "What qualities?" "Desperation, loyalty, someone who would do anything to save the person they love." He stepped closer, and Emma caught the scent of expensive cologne mixed with something darker. Someone who needs exactly $2 million and has run out of options. Emma's blood turned to ice. This stranger knew too much. "What do you want?" "To make you an offer." His eyes never left hers. "I need a wife for exactly 1 year. In exchange, I'll pay for your mother's treatment and give you $5 million on top of that." The machines beeped steadily in the silence that followed. Emma stared at him, certain she'd misheard. "Are you insane?" "Quite sane, actually. My grandmother's will requires I be married before my 33rd birthday to inherit her portion of the family fortune. That birthday is in 3 weeks. Then marry someone from your world." Sebastian's expression darkened. "Women in my world have expectations. Love, romance, a real future. You and I would have a business arrangement. Nothing more." Emma looked back at her mother's sleeping form, the woman who'd sacrificed everything for her. $7 million total. Her mother could have the best care in the world. What's the catch? No romantic entanglements for either of us during our marriage. Scandal could ruin everything. Sebastian pulled out his phone and showed her the screen. "You have until tomorrow morning to decide. After that, the offer expires." Emma's hands trembled as she stared at the numbers on his screen. $7 million. Her mother's life. 1 year of pretending to love a stranger. 1 year of saving your mother and securing your future. Sebastian pocketed his phone. As he walked away, his footsteps echoing. Down the sterile hallway, Emma sank back into the plastic chair. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky like a warning. She had 16 hours to decide if she was willing to sell her soul to save her mother's life. Emma hadn't slept. She'd spent the night pacing the hospital corridors, coffee burning her empty stomach as she wrestled with Sebastian's impossible offer. At dawn, she found herself standing outside the sleek glass tower that housed Ashworth Technologies, rain still falling like a judgment from heaven. The elevator to the top floor moved so smoothly, she barely felt it rise. Opened, she stepped into a world of marble and money that made her feel like an intruder. Sebastian's assistant, a woman with ice in her veins and diamonds at her throat, led Emma through corridors lined with modern art worth more than most people's homes. Sebastian's office occupied an entire corner of the building. Windows offered a view of the city that made Emma dizzy. He stood with his back to her, phone pressed to his ear, speaking in clipped sentences about market projections and hostile takeovers. "I'll call you back." He ended the call and turned. In daylight, he looked even more dangerous. The shadows under his eyes suggested he'd slept as little as she had. "You came. I need to know this is real." Emma's voice was steadier than she felt. "That you're not some sick joke the universe is playing on me." Sebastian walked to his desk and pressed a button. Within seconds, his assistant entered with a file thick enough to choke on. "The contract," he said. "Read every word." Emma sat in the leather chair across from his desk and opened the file. The legal language was dense, but the terms were clear. Marriage for 1 year, public appearances as required, separate living quarters, no romantic involvement with third parties. Upon completion, $7 million and a quiet divorce. This clause here, Emma pointed to a paragraph near the end. "It says if I breach any terms, I forfeit everything and owe you damages. Insurance against betrayal." "What about insurance?" "Against you, betraying me?" For the first time, something flickered in Sebastian's eyes. Surprise, maybe, or respect. Fair point. He picked up his phone. Add a reciprocal clause. If I breach the terms, Miss Rodriguez receives double compensation. As his assistant made the changes, Emma studied Sebastian's face. Handsome, certainly, but there was something haunted in the sharp angles of his features. Something that suggested he understood betrayal intimately. "Why do you really need this?" "Marriage?" she asked. "The inheritance can't be the only reason." Sebastian's jaw tightened. "My grandmother believed marriage would civilize me, to make me more stable, more trustworthy in the board's eyes. She was a romantic who never understood that some people are incapable of love. And you think you're one of those people?" "I know." "I am." He signed the revised contract with sharp, angry strokes, which is why this arrangement is perfect. No messy emotions. No false promises, just business. Emma stared at the pen he slid across the desk. Once she signed, there would be no going back. No more struggling to pay bills, no more watching her mother suffer, but also no more freedom. No chance at real love for an entire year. "My mother thinks I'm interviewing for a job today," she said quietly. "In a way, you are," Emma thought. Of Maria Rodriguez, barely conscious, but still trying to smile when Emma entered her room. Still apologizing for being a burden when she was the only thing in Emma's world worth fighting for, she signed her name. Sebastian smiled, and for a moment, something almost human flickered across his features. "Welcome to the family, Mrs. Ashworth. We have a wedding to plan." As Emma stared at her signature on the contract, she wondered if she'd just saved her mother's life or sold her own soul. Outside, the rain had stopped, but the sky remained dark with the promise of storms to come. 3 weeks later, Emma stood in Sebastian's penthouse. Staring at her reflection in a mirror worth more than her old apartment. The wedding dress had cost $40,000, but it felt like a costume for a role she wasn't sure she could play. The ceremony had been small, sterile. It's witnessed only by Sebastian's lawyer and a judge who'd clearly been paid well to ask no questions. Emma had expected to feel nothing, but when Sebastian slipped the platinum band onto her finger, something twisted in her chest that had nothing to do with the contract. Now she was Mrs. Emma Ashworth, living in a glass palace 30 floors above the city, watching her husband pour himself a drink that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. "Your mother's surgery is scheduled for tomorrow," Sebastian said without looking at her. "The doctors seem optimistic." Emma's throat tightened. In the chaos of the wedding and moving, she'd barely had time to process that her mother might actually live. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet." Sebastian turned, and Emma was startled by the exhaustion in his eyes. "We have the Morrison Gala tonight. First public appearance as the happy couple." Emma's stomach clenched. She'd been dreading this moment, when they'd have to convince the world their marriage was real. "I don't know how to be your wife." "You don't have to be my wife." Sebastian set down his glass and moved closer. "You just have to play one. Smile when I touch you. Laugh at my jokes. Look at me like I'm the center of your universe. What if I can't?" Sebastian's hand found hers, his fingers warm and surprisingly gentle as they traced her wedding ring. Then we're both in trouble. The gala was held in a ballroom that looked like something from a fairy tale, if fairy tales cost millions of dollars to stage. Emma wore a dress that hugged her curves and made her feel beautiful and exposed at the same time. Sebastian's hand rested possessively on her lower back as they navigated the crowd of wealth and power. "Sebastian, darling." A woman with surgically perfect features and predatory eyes descended on them like a vulture. "You must introduce me to your lovely wife." "Victoria Morrison," Sebastian said smoothly. "Meet Emma." "Emma, Victoria owns half the city." Victoria's smile was sharp enough to cut glass. "How romantic, a whirlwind courtship. Tell me, dear, how did you manage to catch our most eligible bachelor?" Emma felt the weight of curious stares, the whispered conversations that stopped when she passed. These people could smell her desperation, her difference, like sharks scenting blood in the water. "I didn't catch him," Emma said, surprising herself with her steadiness. "He caught me." Sebastian's fingers tightened on her back, and when she looked up at him, something flickered in his eyes that wasn't entirely pretend. Later, as they danced to music that cost more per note than most people earned in a day, Sebastian pulled her closer than the contract required. "You're good at this?" he murmured against her ear. "At lying? At being someone you're not?" Emma looked up at him, studying the sharp line of his jaw, the way his dark hair caught the light. "Maybe we both are." For a moment, they moved together like they'd been dancing for years instead of hours. Emma could feel the heat of his body, smell his cologne mixed with something uniquely him. When he spun her, her dress flared around them, and she forgot this was all pretend. Then she saw the photographer in the corner, capturing every moment, every false smile, every manufactured touch. Sebastian. Her voice was barely a whisper. "This feels too real." His eyes darkened, and for a heartbeat, she thought he might say something that would change everything. Instead, he stepped back, the distance between them suddenly arctic. "That's the point," he said coldly. "Good job tonight, Mrs. Ashworth." Very convincing. Leaving her alone on the dance floor, Emma realized the most dangerous part of their arrangement wasn't the lies they told the world. It was the truths they were starting to tell each other. 2 months into their marriage, Emma's mother was recovering beautifully. The experimental treatment was working, the cancer retreating like a defeated enemy. Maria Rodriguez had color in her cheeks again, strength in her voice, hope in her eyes. Emma should have been celebrating, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. It started with small things. Sebastian working later than usual, taking calls in his study with the door locked. The way he'd grown distant since the Morrison Gala, treating her more like an employee than a wife, even a fake one. Then she found the photographs. Emma had been looking for Sebastian's passport in his study, needing it for a joint banking document, when the manila envelope fell from behind his desk drawer. Photos scattered across the Persian rug like accusations. Her mother. Leaving the hospital, walking through the park, sitting on a bench feeding pigeons. Dozens of photos taken over months, long before Sebastian had approached Emma in the hospital. Her hands shook as she gathered them up. One photo was different from the others. Her mother with a man Emma didn't recognize, both of them smiling, both of them younger. On the back, someone had written Maria Rodriguez and Thomas Ashworth. 1998. Thomas Ashworth, Sebastian's father. The study door opened behind her. "You weren't supposed to find those," Sebastian said quietly. Emma turned, clutching the photos like weapons. "Thomas Ashworth is your father. He died 5 years ago." "My mother knew your father." The words felt like broken glass in her throat. "This isn't random, is it?" "Find me in that hospital." Sebastian closed the door and leaned against it, looking older than his 32 years. How long have you been watching us? 6 months. Emma's legs gave out. She sank into Sebastian's leather chair, the photos scattering again. Why? Sebastian moved to the window, staring out at the city below. My father had many secrets. Affairs, hidden accounts, illegitimate children. I thought your mother might be another one, but she's not, no. Sebastian's reflection in the glass looked haunted. She's worse. Emma's blood turned to ice. What do you mean? My father stole money from the company. Millions of dollars over several years. I've been trying to trace where it went. Cover up the scandal before it destroys everything. Sebastian turned to face her. Your mother was his accountant. She helped him hide it. The words hit Emma like physical blows. No, my mother would never. The cancer treatment she's receiving. It's experimental, yes, but it's not the treatment the doctors originally recommended. Sebastian's voice was gentle, which somehow made it worse. The real treatment costs $500,000, not $2 million. Emma stared at him, her world tilting off its axis. You lied to me. I lied to you. The marriage, the contract, all of it. You wanted to control me, keep me close, while you figured out how to use my mother. Sebastian's jaw tightened. Initially, yes. Initially. Emma stood, fury giving her strength. What changed? You did? The admission seemed to pain him. You weren't supposed to be so damn innocent. So loving. So real. Emma laughed, but there was no humor in it. Real? Nothing about this has been real? You manipulated me. Used my mother's illness. I'm trying to save your mother's life. By blackmailing her? By protecting her? Sebastian stepped closer, and Emma saw desperation in his eyes. The FBI is investigating my father's embezzlement. If they find the connection to your mother, she'll go to prison. The stress would kill her faster than cancer ever could. Emma's anger crumbled, replaced by a fear so deep it threatened to drown her. What do you want from me? Help me find the money. Your mother hid it somewhere, if I can return it quietly. The investigation goes away. Everyone wins. And if I refuse? Sebastian's face was stone. Then I let justice take its course. Emma looked at the photos scattered on the floor, evidence of months of surveillance, of lies built on lies. Her mother, her beautiful, complicated mother who'd sacrificed everything for her daughter, had been keeping secrets that could destroy them both. I need to talk to her. Emma, I need to hear it from her. Emma's voice broke. I need to know. If anything in my life has ever been true, Sebastian nodded slowly, I'll drive you to the hospital. As they left the penthouse in silence, Emma realized the worst part wasn't that Sebastian had lied to her. It was that despite everything, some foolish part of her heart still wanted to believe in him. Maria Rodriguez looked smaller than Emma remembered, but her eyes were clear when her daughter walked into the hospital room. Behind Emma, Sebastian lingered in the doorway like a shadow from the past. You look like him, Maria whispered, studying. Sebastian's face. Thomas had the same eyes, the same sadness. Emma sat on the edge of the bed, her mother's hand cold in hers. Mom, I need you to tell me about Thomas Ashworth. Maria's eyes filled with tears. I wondered when this day would come. Did you steal money from his company? No, Mia. Maria's voice was steady despite her tears. I helped him return it. Sebastian stepped into the room. What? Maria looked between them, understanding passing across her features like sunrise. You married my daughter to get to me, to get to the money you think I stole. My father embezzled millions from Ashworth. Technologies. You were his accountant. The money disappeared. Maria laughed, but it was sad rather than bitter. Your father never stole anything, Sebastian. He was trying to stop someone else from stealing. The room went silent except for the steady beep of machines. Your uncle, Maria continued. Richard Ashworth. He'd been siphoning money from company accounts for years. Thomas discovered it, came to me for help creating a trail that would expose him. Sebastian's face went white. Uncle Richard is on the board. He's been helping with the FBI investigation. Of course he is. Maria struggled to sit up. Who better to misdirect an investigation than the man who needs it to fail? The pieces clicking into place. The money Thomas moved was evidence. proof of what Richard had done. Maria reached for the water glass on her nightstand. We hid it in accounts Richard couldn't access, documented everything. Thomas was going to expose him, but he died first, Sebastian said quietly. Car accident, very convenient timing. Maria's eyes hardened. I kept the evidence, waited for the right moment. Then I got sick. Emma's mind was racing. The real treatment you need. It doesn't cost $2 million, does it? Maria squeezed her daughter's hand. But I let him lie to you. Why? It's because I could see what you couldn't. That boy was already half in love with you before he ever spoke your name. I've been watching him watch us for months. A man planning to destroy someone doesn't look at them the way he looked at you. Emma's eyes found Sebastian's across the room. You've been in love with me? Sebastian's jaw worked like he was fighting the words. Since that first night in the hospital, when you pressed your forehead against that window and looked like you were holding up the world all by yourself, but you said you were incapable. Of love? I thought I was. Sebastian moved closer. Then I met you, and every wall I'd built started cracking. Maria coughed softly. The evidence is in a safety deposit box. Keys taped under my jewelry box at home. Box 247 at First National. Sebastian pulled out his phone. I need to call the FBI. Get ahead of this before Richard destroys more evidence. Sebastian. Emma caught his arm. What happens to us when this is over? He stared at her for a long moment. That depends. Can you ever forgive me for lying to you? Can you forgive me for making you fall in love? Sebastian's smile was soft and real, and everything Emma hadn't known she was desperate to see. I think I can manage that. 6 months later, Emma stood in another courtroom, watching Richard Ashworth led away in handcuffs. Sebastian's hand was warm in hers, no longer bound by contract, but by something infinitely stronger. Their first wedding had been about saving lives. Their second would be about living them. Maria Rodriguez, cancer-free and glowing with health, would walk her daughter down the aisle to marry the man who'd saved them all by learning that some lies are just love wearing a disguise. That night, in the penthouse that had become a real home, Emma traced her fingers along Sebastian's jaw as he slept. Tomorrow, they would sign new papers, dissolving their business arrangement and replacing it with something that had no expiration date. Some contracts, Emma thought as she drifted off to sleep, were meant to be broken. Others were meant to become promises. The end.